Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary Jane and this is MJ Money Matters. Here in this space, I show you how I use the zero-based budgeting method to control and maintain a simplified money life. So if that sounds like content that you're interested in, I would love it if you would hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and stick around for more. So welcome, hello, it's another week. Another week has gone by, another week of it not really being great at that place. So if you're just tuning in, I had left the restaurant that I was at for a long time, for quite the while, a couple of months ago now. And the owner had threatened not to pay us our tips that we made, which is completely illegal. And, I had been, put down before. I had been belittled before. And I'm like, there has to be something better than this. And at this point, I was working 7 days a week, which I was like, I just don't know if I can take it. Like, I need some time. You have to have some work-life balance. And I wasn't getting it there. They'll just work you to death, literally. And I find that people will do that. So I chose to leave at that point. There's no hard feelings. It doesn't really feel like. I've been in there a couple of times. Most recently, I went in there. It was my friend's birthday. She still works there. I took her a bouquet of flowers. So, a big waves, how you doing? I don't want to burn bridges. That's never my intent. But I also am very clear that, I don't put up with illegal acts. And even though he was like, well, I wasn't being serious. It doesn't matter. You can't threaten that. No matter whether you meant it or not, just period, end of story. So I decided to try another place. I sort of put the feelers out there, and if you haven't been really on the TikToks or whatever, maybe you aren't aware, it's actually very difficult to find a job right now in any industry. So I had, mass applied and kind of panicked, and it was I couldn't find anything. I had an interview at a bowling alley. Not that there's anything wrong with bowling at all. Freaking love bowling. But, I did not get on at the restaurant at the bowling alley. And so this other place that reached out was axe throwing, curling, and feather bowling. Huge space doing corporate events. And the thing that really caught my eye about it is they were doing same day direct deposit pay. So I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. I'm very interested in that. So I started working there and I gave it a whirl. And every week it was like, well, next week things are going to pick up. Next week things are going to pick up. And I noticed that there were pretty much two main managers. The manager that was the female, who I think is kind of like the head of it, she would cut me every chance she could. And I'm driving 27 miles one way to go to this place, which supposedly you make great money at during the season. And she's cutting me after 2-3 hours. And then if I'm first one cut or one of the first ones cut, I'm doing a ton of side work. And if I worked with the manager that was a man, who we knew a lot of the same people through, restaurant ties or such, he would keep me on. And I would work a much longer shift. And I would make okay money. I would never thought that I'd make great money there, ever. But I was like, okay, well, that was decent, at least worth it. And so on Friday night, it was totally rocking. It was so busy, and I did a big corporate event. And that event was coming to an end, and I thought they would just take me, downstairs to help with the other busy things. No, she's like, you're cut. It was 8:20 p.m. on a Friday. A couple of days before that, she had told me, well, you're not going to get any hours next week. Next week is Thanksgiving, and we just don't have a lot going on. And frankly, you have another job. And that rubbed me such the wrong way. So her continuously cutting me first had to do with the fact that I was hustling, trying to make the most and do the best that I can for myself. And she was holding it against me. I was like, okay, yeah. Now I did, I found that other job in Birmingham, and they're under construction, and I'm waiting for that to happen. So in my mind, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to keep working at this job while that one, is being construction, and I do, training and all that. But I really, you know, when I got cut on that Friday night, I was pissed. And so I go down and I'm doing, it's just like every fork and knife in the entire restaurant. It took us an hour and over an hour to polish everything. It was me and another girl. And polishing and polishing and polishing and polishing. And it was just like so much to do. And then it was like, oh, you have to check out with this person. This person's the closer. And I'm running around. This place is humongous. Trying to find her. I can't find her. I finally find her, you know, and she was like, oh, well, go upstairs and make sure everything. So I go upstairs, and the person who was like in charge of that party was like, stop coming up here. Stop milking the clock and trying to find things to do. You aren't making any money. First of all, that's rude as hell because it wasn't milking the clock. When I'm cut, I want to go. Like, okay, I've been given the green light to go. What do I need to do to get the fuck out of here? And yeah, it's just like to milk the clock. Like, I literally just did all the roll-ups for the entire restaurant with one other person. I am not milking anything. And what do you mean I'm not making any money? And she's like, the minute that you're clocked out, you're no longer in the tip pool. You're making $3 an hour. I just started screaming. Like, there was no filter. It was like, what are you, like, no one has ever expressed this to me. This was never explained to me. And she was like, I'm just the messenger kind of thing. I'm not saying that you're doing that, but, you know, you're always sticking around. I'm like, oh, how horrible of me to always want to make sure my side work is done. You know, yeah, I'm just like, this is like, whoa. And so I'm getting clarification from other people, and they're like, yeah. So, you know, once the party's done, you're no longer. So I'm like at 8:20. I got there at 5:30. So I got less than 3 hours of like actual tip pool stuff. And the rest of it is me doing all of your side work for $3 an hour. Like, what? And it all clicked. Like, this is why I'm not making good money here. Like, she's holding it against me for having another job. And I'm doing all of this work for everybody else for nothing. And because I keep getting paid, like the direct deposit, I'm like, it just doesn't seem like I'm getting paid that much. And apparently a lot of the times that I'm there, sometimes like a third of the time I'm there, or a quarter of the time I'm there for $3 an hour. I was just livid. And I had picked up for Saturday because, oh, by the way, they only give me 1 or 2 shifts a week. And so the rest of it is me picking up. And it's just like, why are you still hiring people? Why are you still like training people? Like, you're giving me no shifts for next week and telling me it's because I work. I mean, and I could not find that person to leave. I came back down, I was angry, and they were just like, and I'm like, and she's like, the main manager, you can go. Well, I never went back. I didn't go in for my Saturday shift. No, I can't even talk like that on YouTube, the way that I want to talk. It's one thing to overwork someone. It's one thing to threaten not to pay them the money that they earned, but it's quite another to just use someone. Because I was driving 27 miles one way to make money, to get ahead, to do better for myself, to delay myself, sleep, to add wear and tear on my car, to spend the gas to do this, and you keep cutting me because I'm hustling? I'm like, there is no salvaging this at all. Like, I'm done. And I mean, I had to really think about it when I was driving home. I'm like, am I going to bet my house, my mortgage, that this other restaurant's going to come through? No, I'm not. Do I hope that it goes through? Yes. Am I going to bet on it? No. So before I went to bed, I applied to a place that seemed very much like what I worked at before. So before, I'd worked at an oyster bar, and it was on a main road, and it was like at a destination spot. The only reason I left there is because of the sexual harassment by the head chef. And I was the 7th person to come forward, so it was an ongoing pattern. And it's easier to switch out waitresses than it is to switch out head chefs. And he was a bro of the owner, the trust fund owner, I should say. The owner died. The trust fund's son was like keeping his bro around. So this is right across the street. And so I applied. It was the only thing I applied to. And the next day, which was yesterday, They texted me, asked me, a couple of questions, very, to the point questions, answered them within 30 minutes. I saw it, got right away. The guy messaged me and he wanted to meet today. Now, I don't meet on Sundays. I've got things going on that I do I've got private family type stuff that I do on Sundays. But I was like, I can meet you on Monday anytime after 3:15 because I teach. And he wrote back, he's like, how about Wednesday? I'm like, sure. So day before Thanksgiving, I have an interview at this place. And what will happen if I get both jobs? Well, I'll try to work it out for sure. But I just am like, I need to go. I need to make money. I need to be at a place that makes money. And I need to be around people who don't hold my hustle against me. And I certainly need to be at a place where I'm showing up for more than 2 hours, more than 3 hours. I'm not against doing side work for $3 an hour, but when I'm only getting 2.5, 3 hours, and then I'm spending another hour and a half doing side work, like none of this is adding up to me. All of these other girls that were there all day, they were making great money. Why am I always the one who comes from the furthest and gets cut first? It felt real personal. And I was like, I let it go several times. I was like, no, I'm going to go. I'm going to try my best. And I'm like, no, you're doing this to me on purpose. And then you told me you're doing this to me on purpose. So rant over. Hopefully, fingers crossed that I do well on Wednesday and I can get on at this place and just start immediately. And, the other scary thing is school is about to end for a while. We have several days off for Thanksgiving, and then we have 2 whole weeks off during the winter break. And then we have another winter break, which is something new for me. I've never really had that in Michigan, where you have 2 winter breaks plus a spring break. So my contract was until the 20th of December. And that was really nerve-wracking for me because it was just like so much was left in the wind, which is why I was staying on at that restaurant, because it was like, I just don't know what's going to happen, right? Well, on Friday, my contract was extended through the 5th of June to the end of school. And so it gave me that ability, that freedom, that peace of mind to be like, deuces. So I'm such an advocate of multiple streams of income. Huge, massive advocate of multiple streams of income. And it's like, I'm really scraping by right now. I spent so much of my time in this last year working very hard, sometimes 80, 90 hours a week to put money aside, to give myself an emergency fund, to give myself a cushion. And with having left that restaurant and then having my time wasted at this other place, and then having the emergency of my cats getting this horrible virus and then losing several of them and everybody having to go to the vet, and it has hit me hard financially. And I'm making less a week than I have in a very long time. And that is directly because I'm not getting that good side hustle going. And actually they were holding against me somehow for side hustling, whatever. Really, I mean, I'm just blown away by that whole thing. But whatever, girl. The fact is I have not been making what I was accustomed to. And I lost several $1,000s by, that being disrupted. I like the routine. I like knowing where I'm at. I like consistency. That is definitely what I'm looking for. I feel very grateful that I'm going to be able to move forward knowing that I have that contract until the 5th of June. Because that means I have the ability to pay all basic bills, and then I could try again, part 2, to get ahead. But getting ahead means finding that really good stable side hustle. So hopefully it's this place on Wednesday. And also, hopefully that other place comes through in Birmingham. I will rock both. And then, of course, I have the third one in the summer that's agreed to hire me on their patio to rock out the summer. I am not afraid to work. I am not afraid to hustle. I'm not afraid to get to my goals. But all of it has to come from different sources, because any one of these could pan off. Any of these fires could die. I've got to keep multiple going. It's very frustrating to me that I haven't been able to get my Turo started. I'm really happy to have purchased into the car sharing masterclass, and I'm on the Discord now, and it's like, that's really where the action is and why I joined. But I'm still an outsider looking in because I haven't been able to invest to start. And here we are, it's November 24th. This year is going to end soon, and I didn't make it happen this year. I had a terrible summer on the patio, where they had overhired at that place, and I just kept getting really awful, like, table selections. And other people were doing a little bit better than me, but nobody was really doing great because they overhired. And because that was my only source of income because school was out, my main source of income to pay my bills, I was sort of stuck. So school started, and it was like, great. And so it was just like I was able to leave and try to find something else. And the place that I went to just wasted my time. It was like, I was spinning my wheels and not getting anywhere. So I'm grateful now that I can make another jump, and hopefully this will be a good one. But there's nothing more frustrating than working really, really hard and you're like, that didn't work. But the best thing you could do is just keep on going. Just change bikes. That bike didn't work, get on a different bike and just keep going. Like, I can't wallow in it. I can't, be super depressed about it. All I could do is move forward and try to get to the next thing. So here we go. My estimate is maybe 1,000. I don't even know. Where, I was used to making between 1,600 to 1,800 a week. It's a lot to lose. It's a lot to lose. But I got to get it back, and, it wasn't going to happen for me at that place. Literally he was threatening not to pay us. He was angry and stuff, and the quality of everything was going down. When I left, it was like tables getting up, like 6, 7 tables getting up and just walking out. Because they were not getting their food. It was a management issue. And as much as I love entrepreneurs, sometimes it's like you need to hire professional management because you don't know what you're doing and your narcissism is getting in the way. So yeah, no, I've taken the hit, and it's time to get back on the horse. All right. Wish me luck. Wish me luck on Wednesday. All right. So the mortgage, $200. It's a net credit week, so it's going to be $140 taken out automatically. American Water is $9. That's in case there is a busted pipe from my home to the curb. Detroit Water is somewhere in the neighborhood of $50. Cigna is going to be $30. That is an insurance policy against cancer, which cancer is very rampant in my family. Gas, $70. Dallas Mail, 6 months. So yes, I did it 6 months at a time the last time. I'm going to do it 6 months this time, $168. It works out to a free month. I do think in 6 months from now, my goal will be to pay the entire $300 for an entire year, and then it's like you get 2 free months, I think. And so it's not really about that saved $30 or whatever. It's such a peace of mind to know it's taken care of. So, I did the full year on my cell phone recently on Mint Mobile, and that's just such a great feeling. I do put money aside in the envelope. Now, I was putting money aside in the envelope, but at that other restaurant, I was also having to pay to go to work every day to pay into the tip pool, even though we weren't getting paid. That whole nightmare of how we were getting paid. So I had to rate it over and over and over again, and then I didn't have it. So I have to pull this completely out of a paycheck. But I will have this unique fund going for the next time, so that when I go to renew it, I should have somewhere in the neighborhood of $170, $175 in the envelope. And then I put in an additional $168 from a paycheck or from tips. And then that pays for the whole year. And then moving forward, I do that sinking fund. So then when the next year hits, it's all in there and ready to go. I don't mind putting it aside for me, for peace of mind, so that, whatever happens down the road, it's there, or it's mostly there. But not having to make that payment each time and not having to put things in jeopardy, like my mail, is a great feeling. So Paramount Plus is only $7, but I did not see it go through. It should have already gone through. I'm putting it in there just in case, a little buffer. For savings, I'm finally getting back up to that again, $150. For Turo, I'm going to do $125. And for pets, I'm going to do $50. And that's going to be like, you know, cat litter, wet food, and such. I was doing that. Oh, I'm sorry, 50, not 10. I was doing that with like tip money and everything, but I'm not making any tips this time around. So, and this is including another little side hustle I've got going. It's not much of a side hustle. I get money from royalties of a book I wrote. I get money from royalties of an adult coloring book that I created. I get royalties from acting jobs that are mostly like streaming and some foreign services. So every quarter I get that. So it's not anything to laugh about, but it's not anything that's like paying significant bills. I also am an Amazon affiliate. So, you know, I do get little bits here and there, and it's always appreciative, but I've not been able to build them up to be substantial side projects yet. Maybe someday. All right, so that's going to be $200 plus 140 plus 9 plus 50 plus 30 plus 70 plus 168 plus 7 plus 150 plus 125 plus 50 is $999. Another thing coming up is like I will get the full paycheck next week because they were paid for the week prior, but the following paycheck there's not going to be much money at all because it will be the 3 days off for Thanksgiving. So in my mind, in a perfect world, I would have, you know, buffed that up with some tip money. But I mean, I would drive all the way out there. What is it, 54 miles round trip? And then after 2.5, 3 hours, she would just cut me. And so when you take into account how much it's costing me in gas and wear and tear on my car, and by the way, I still haven't gotten my tires, the 2 front tires that I just desperately need. It's like I'm so not, it's not worth it. It's not worth my time. So when I do get onto something, you know, then there's training and that's like maybe $10 an hour. And then it's like you got to do however many shifts. And then sometimes you got to take a menu test. And then it's like they put you on the schedule, but you're only going to have like a 3 table set. Like it takes a while to pull this up. So my goal is to have things up and running for those 2 weeks that I'm off for the Christmas break. So that in the middle of January, when the snow's down and I can't like do like DoorDash or whatever. I hate doing DoorDash, but I can't do it anyway. I'm not gonna do it in that weather. That I'm able to pay my bills. And I'm not having to pull out of, yet again, my savings that keeps getting raided for things like dying cats. And, you know, I mean, it's just, it's stressful. And all of this because I've been working at a place where the lady was cutting me because I was driving all the way out there to make a second income. I don't know. Dude, people. All right, thanks for joining. Have a great day.